My name is Adama, and I live in Koudougou, Burkina Faso. The sun is strong, the earth is red, and I've always loved building things. As a kid, I took apart radios and fixed toys for friends. My hands always wanted to create. Every day I watched noisy, smoky cars on dusty roads and wondered, could there be a better way? One day I saw a video of an electric car, silent, clean, powered by electricity. That moment planted a seed. What if I could build something like that here? My family couldn't afford a car, let alone an electric one, but that only made my dream stronger. I decided to use what others threw away. Scraps, not money, would build my dream. It wasn't about having a fancy car. It was about solving a problem for my community. At 17, I set out to build an electric car from scratch. People laughed, called me crazy, but I remembered stories of others who made the impossible real. If a boy could build a windmill for his village, maybe I could harness electricity for mine. My dream was for my community, to show that big dreams can start in a small workshop. I wanted to prove that youth in Burkina Faso can create our own solutions. We can build our future with our own hands and minds. So, I began. One idea, one piece of scrap at a time. The journey wouldn't be easy, but I was ready. My heart was full of hope. My workshop was just a small, covered space behind our house. Corrugated iron roof, packed red earth floor. This was where my dream would come to life. I became a regular at the local scrapyard, collecting old bicycle frames, metal sheets, and cartwheels. Each piece of junk was a treasure. I welded 2 bicycle frames together for the car's skeleton, borrowing a welder and learning as I went. My first welds were messy, but I practiced until the frame took shape. For the body, I hammered thin metal sheets under the hot sun, using only simple tools. No paper design, just the plan in my head, adjusting as I built. The car grew slowly, a puzzle of forgotten objects finding new purpose. The steering system came from a rusted car, cleaned and rebuilt with handmade parts. I connected it to the wheels with rods I made myself. My workshop echoed with hammering and grinding, the sound of progress. Every day, sweat and patience turned scraps into something real. I didn't need fancy equipment, just imagination and determination. Piece by piece, my dream was taking shape. This was the sound of hope being built. Building the body was one thing, but electricity was a mystery. The internet became my classroom. I spent hours at a local cafe watching videos and reading articles. I learned about motors, controllers, and batteries. I couldn't afford a new motor, so I salvaged one from an old water pump and rebuilt it. I rewound the copper coils, following diagrams I found online. For batteries, I collected used ones from repair shops, testing and combining them into a battery bank. I built a wooden box to hold them securely. The controller, the brain, was the hardest part. I couldn't buy one, so I built it from scratch, using parts from a TV repair shop. Soldering tiny components onto a board, I followed online guides and forums. When I finished, I felt like a true inventor. I had built the brain for my car. Every challenge taught me something new. My hands learned what my mind imagined. The dream was becoming real. There were days I wanted to give up, the challenges felt endless. Connecting the motor to the wheels was a nightmare. I needed a strong chain and sprockets, but nothing fit. After days of failure, my father's quiet support gave me strength to try again. I modified a motorcycle chain to fit, solving the problem. Wiring was another challenge. Wires everywhere, one wrong move could ruin everything. One night, a wrong connection caused a spark and smoke. I'd burned out a key part of my controller. I spent 2 weeks saving for a replacement and rebuilt it from scratch. Friends laughed at my strange machine, saying it would never move. Their doubt became my fuel. I wanted to prove them wrong. The day of the first test, I was terrified. I sat on a wooden plank, turned the key, and pressed the pedal. The lights flickered on, the motor hummed, and the car jerked forward. It moved. Just a few feet, but it moved. In that moment, I felt like I was flying. I had done it. Every setback made the victory sweeter. My dream was no longer just an idea. It was real, and it rolled on the red earth of Koudougou. I proved to myself, and my community, that anything is possible. After many backyard tests, it was time to take my car onto the streets of Koudougou. The car wasn't pretty, just a patchwork of metal and wires, but it worked. I charged the batteries overnight and rolled it onto the dusty road. My family watched, nervous but proud. I turned the key, pressed the pedal, and the car moved forward silently. People stared, confused by the quiet car gliding past. Children pointed, shopkeepers came out, and soon a crowd followed me. The usual city noise faded. All you could hear was the soft whir of the motor. People asked questions. How does it move? Where's the engine? My friends, once doubters, now watched in amazement. An old man called it magic. a car that runs on silence. It wasn't magic, it was hard work and science. I drove for over an hour before the batteries ran low, returning home with a parade behind me. The crowd cheered, calling me Adama the inventor. That day I was no longer the crazy boy with junk. I was the boy who built a car. I showed my community that determination can turn scraps into a moving dream. News of my silent car spread quickly, from the market to government offices. Days after my first public drive, a government vehicle arrived at my house. I was nervous, thinking I was in trouble, but instead, I was invited to meet Captain Ibrahim Traoré, our country's leader. I brought my car to the capital, Ouagadougou, and stood before the nation's leader. Captain Traoré examined my car closely, asking about every detail: how I learned, what I used, my biggest challenges. I told him about the internet cafe, the scrapyard, and long nights soldering parts. He listened carefully, seeing not just a car but the story behind it. Then he smiled and said, "This is the spirit of Burkina Faso. You built the future yourself." He got into the passenger seat and asked for a ride. I drove him around the courtyard. He was impressed by the silence. He called my work an inspiration for all young people and promised government support for innovators. That meeting changed my life. My small dream now had big meaning for my nation. I realized my invention was more than a car. It was a symbol of possibility. My story was now part of something bigger. I felt proud, hopeful, and ready for what came next. The journey was just beginning. My invention's impact was bigger than I ever imagined. After meeting Captain Traoré, my story spread across Burkina Faso and beyond. Young people wrote to me, inspired to start their own projects. My car became a symbol of hope and local innovation. I was invited to speak at schools, sharing my story to inspire others. I told them education is not just in classrooms, it's in doing, trying, and failing. The government offered me a scholarship to study engineering. My community changed. Now others are building solar chargers and small inventions. My workshop became a center for creativity. This is just the beginning. I want to build a better, solar-powered car. My message: don't be afraid to dream big, even with small resources. Use what you have, learn from the world, and build with your hands and mind. The future isn't something we wait for, it's something we build. One dream, one piece of scrap, one spark at a time. The road ahead is bright, powered by hope and imagination.